Hi, I'm Whack.
Hey, and I'm Pat. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Weekly Orbit, the week ending Friday, December 6th. It's been a great week, Whack. I don't know if have you been paying attention to charts? I'm just curious.
No,
No?
no, I haven't been watching anything. Does anything happen this week? Like, what's going on?
It's been slow, just
Yeah.
another week. We're just going to try to get through it. We've got, we're going to talk some markets.
hmm
We're also going to be talking a lot about our ETH today. We've, the rETH Growth Incubator ideas have been scored by the committee, and some exciting things coming out of there. But let's get right into it. This is, as I share my screen, this is the time, Whack, where the last few years, if you've been around, it's been rough. And then this is what we're here for. I think
Yeah.
I'm officially declaring that we are entering the next phase of the bull market. You've heard it here
Yeah.
first on the weekly orbit. Let's look at Ethereum right now. We had, just before we started recording, we just dipped below 4,000, but we're at 3,990. And on the week, Ethereum is up about 10%. So pretty good. Yesterday, though, ETH was, in terms of ETH ETF flows, was a monster day. We had 428 million. To give that some perspective or context, we had been in the negative since launch of the ETFs, around 500 million for a while. So in just one day, that almost, in relative terms, that was almost wiped out, 428 million. So we're up now, since ETF went live, 1.3 billion. So you want to talk about Ethereum for a second? This looks like what we're here for, isn't it?
hmm Yeah, this is definitely Ethereum's week this week. We had a few. Ethereum's had a rough few years, right? Like, in all honesty, like it has been really difficult being in Ethereum, and the reason for that is because we're really good at hyping ourselves up, and we're really good at kind of talking fundamentals. And when it comes to fundamentals, there's no token like ETH, right? Like, we've got fundamentals at the wazoo, like they say. We've got security issuance, we've got a roadmap that's incredibly exciting but also realistic, but also incredibly bullish. All of these things are like working out for Ethereum in a way. If you refresh it, we're back above 4,000. All of these things are incredibly bullish for Ethereum. But what happened is, you're looking at it's okay.
It's going to go, but depending on which chart you're looking at, folks,
Yeah,
you might be at
I'm
4,000, you might be.
Yeah, we're at 4,000.
Whack has the more bullish charts up, of course.
The 1 second chart, but yeah. So what I'm saying is, we had the bull market last time, and people thought it was a little bit muted, right? Because we were hoping that the ratio didn't go up as high against Bitcoin. We got to 0.088 or thereabouts, and people were expecting it to go higher than that. Bitcoin didn't go as high as people thought. They thought, $100,000 Bitcoin, $10,000 ETH. Neither of those targets hit. And then I think ETH bros, us guys, we were like, okay, once the merge comes, we're going to get the triple halving, we're going to get internet bond, we're going to get MEV rewards going to validators. This is just going to be the most amazing thing. We had just started staking really with in the last parts of the bull market, basically 4 years ago, this week. And we hadn't really seen the full impact of that. And then once the merge came up, I think, we'd hyped it to ourselves so much that this was going to change the game. And we got a pump into the merge. It was nice. While the markets were kind of going down, ETH did well in that period. But since then, we've been pretty much down only. And that's 2.5 years, or 2.25 years basically of down only action. And I think that period has been really tough, because we'd hyped it up so much for ourselves, and then it didn't work out, and those expectations were not only not met, but they were dashed completely. We went to lows that people just didn't expect against BTC, 0.031. That was tough. And now I think what's happening is people are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and the ratio is up about 25% against BTC, which is nice. And
right now it's at 0.04, so that's a 5% just overnight. Last 24 hours.
That's 33% basically up against BTC since those lows a couple of weeks ago, and the price is hitting 4,000. We really need to get above 40,093, I think, whatever it is. That's the year high. That's what we saw just around ETH Denver time. when the possibility of the ETH ETFs. And that's another thing, right? Like we hyped up the ETH ETFs, and then the inflows there were horrible. For many months, they were like in the negative numbers, like minus 600 million at one point, like you were saying. And now those are positive. ETH price is moving up. Like, there's positivity in the wider community. People really are now starting to believe that this is a bull market, and that's what gets people happy. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, let's talk about RPL. How's RPL doing? Let's find out. Right now, it's at $17.79. It's up over 2.5% overnight. On the 7-day chart, it's up 26%. So compared to ETH, we've made some gains. Right now, the ratio is at 0.0044. So that for a while we were under 4. So we were at 0.0038.
We reached 0.002999. That's the lowest we got to.
From the low, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, we've got a new bot on the Discord, right? That's tracking the high since the all-time low.
Yeah, which is not even actually the all-time low, but it's just a little bit of fun. But it's actually really nice. Yeah. I like it a lot. We can talk about that later. But yeah, the thing with the RPL prices, like, RPL got hit even harder than ETH. Like, it's the beta play, right? So as the price is going up, you expect RPL hopefully to outperform ETH on the way up. But when it goes down, like, it was just free fall. And it wasn't just RPL, right? Like, LDO, Lido's token was in free fall. A whole bunch of other ecosystem tokens were just like got brutalized over the last couple of years, or the last year and a bit. And now there we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel as well. So RPL token is up over 100% from its recent lows. And then we have
so this is
ETH on the ratio up
TradingView
50%. Yeah, that's right. So you'll see
we're
that.
Up on the 5-day. This is the TradingView comparing RPL to the rest of the market. RPL is up 25% on the last 5 days. ETH is up 8%, and the rest of the market outside the top 10 tokens is up 8.69. So a little bit of alt rally here. Most things are gaining more than ETH, to be honest. And RPL is really, really doing well against ETH. So, we were talking offline how it seems that during a bull market, fundamentals just don't matter. There's capital to be deployed. People are just buying momentum. The sentiment is so good. Everyone's making money. People are just pouring in. Because we cover this almost every week. Right now, Rocket Pool, we're having some problems. The deposit pool is empty or trickling in. We've got validators waiting 20 days to go online. So if you look at the fundamentals, be like, we're kind of stalled at the moment. Yeah. There's a discount on the our ETH. So, but that doesn't matter. None of that matters right now. It's just people are just buying, and if you're in it, you're winning, and everyone's happy, and that's going to run for a bit. So, if I were to give advice, I hope everyone out there has a plan. We don't give advice. But I can wish that everyone has a plan in place how they want to proceed. If you want to, if you're a long-term investor and you're staking, then none of this matters because you're just staking, you're collecting your rewards, you're just chilling. But if you're looking to trade and exit at some point, you should have a plan in place. You should definitely have it in place before things get so hot and frothy and you can't think straight. So, hopefully everyone out there has some idea what they're going to be doing. Yeah.
We both got our plans. We both got our plans, and I've talked about my plans very publicly that, I will be selling pretty much all my crypto at some point, hopefully in 2025. I have price targets. If the price targets hit, I will sell. If the price targets don't hit, then I'll see what the sentiment in the market is looking like. And if I feel like it's getting really frothy, I might just sell then anyway. So there are a couple of different things that I'm looking at in regards to that. The idea for me is that, I'll sell, and then if there's a market correction and it goes back down, then I'll buy back in, with a fraction of the money, but with the same size potentially of the amount of crypto. Hopefully that would be really nice. But the reality is that, I don't think I'm going to leave crypto. I don't think either of us are going to leave crypto. We're too deep into it now to leave crypto forever. But if we get left behind, then that's okay. The targets that we have will change the path of our lives, and that at some point, that's really valuable. I've been in crypto for nearly 8 years now. Well, 7 years, 8 years, whatever, a long time. And I still want to stay in there, but like, having that plan is, I think, really healthy, like to have that. Even if you want to stay in crypto, even if you don't want to sell, just having that as a plan is a plan as well. Like,
That's a
just so
plan.
you don't, yeah, that's a plan, right? Like, in 2021, I was like, I'm going to forever stake. I'm going to live off my staking validation income, and that's my plan, right? And now my plan is, how can I grow my stack? Like, and to do that, I need to take a risk, and that risk will be to sell my crypto and try to buy back in lower potentially. And that's my plan. So if it works out, it'll be amazing. If it doesn't work out, then fair enough. I'll keep riding it and hope that it works out next time.
Yeah.
But
So
that's the plan.
yeah,
Yeah.
one thing I want to add is these bull markets have inevitably we're going to have a pullback, right? It's just not all up, all up. Over the course of maybe 6 months or a year, the trend line will be up. But usually there's a 20%, 30% correction somewhere thrown in.
50,
You've
60%.
seen it,
Yeah.
right?
So in 2021,
we're chugging along.
yeah,
Yeah, remember we went from we hit an
4,400
all-time
to
high.
1,700.
Yeah, within like a week.
A
I think
week.
it went down. Yeah, that was painful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
something like that might happen again. And inevitably, it probably will.
Yep.
However, if you stick with it, if it's your plan, and if it happens, I think it's a time if you had some monies on the side looking to make an entry, like that would be a good time to do it. Because here's that 25% correction I was expecting, or 30%, whatever.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's talk about some rocket pool news, shall we?
Yeah.
So Mountain B, he's been real active in Discord, and I kind of enjoyed. He's been a critic of marketing for rocket pool, and I've enjoyed his take on things. He has some uncomfortable questions, and he kind of holding people. Hey guys, we got to do better. Why aren't we doing more of this? And I kind of like that, kind of shaking the tree a little bit. So through that though, what I enjoy is some of the fair criticism, but then also action. So it's one thing to be an armchair quarterback and just criticize, but then take the next step. So this is a nice little chart that Mountain B helped put together, and you retweeted, I retweeted. And it's called How Safe is Your ETH? And it's comparing our ETH to ST-ETH. And it kind of just breaks down the basics, node operator collateral with ST-ETH, they're none required. With our ETH, 25% of stake ETH. There's better user protections with our ETH. There's better risk exposure with our ETH. But the yield is slightly higher on the ST-ETH. So the bottom line is our ETH is reliable, robust, and resilient. And I kind of like that tagline. And this is the type of thing that over the long run, we need more of, just marketing and having a consistent message, which has been a criticism. Like, what does rETH do, and how do you sum it up in just a few words? And this is a good example of it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I share the sentiments with you. I think Mountain View definitely, Mountain B, sorry, definitely, Mountain B, yeah, Mountain B, definitely stirred things up. And for better or worse, like you said, was asking some uncomfortable questions. And I think some people kind of bristled at some of the things that he was saying, like, hey, we answered this question about branding, like, why are you asking the same thing over and over again, kind of thing, like, because he had this idea, like, change RPL, change the name of the protocol, change like everything, like, and it's like, we can't do that. Like, our ETH contract is immutable. Like, we can't change the name of our ETH. Like, what are you talking about? So it's kind of like, some of the things that, some of the ideas that he had, or some of the things that he was kind of pushing, I think were just like too far. And some people told him that, right? Like, we kind of explained it to him. And then I think one of the things that he was really trying to look for is what can we push forward for Rocket Pool as a position, like, to kind of market our ETH. And the idea that he kind of, I think rightly even had, was that, people don't care about decentralization unless they get kicked in the face by some kind of security issue. That's when, it suddenly matters, but before then it doesn't. And we need to move past just the decentralization thing, because when it comes to that, like, people don't care. Like, they see two numbers side by side and they'll pick the bigger number, and we need to give them a compelling reason to pick the smaller number. And that kind of goes against, like, your self-interest, right? Like, if you just look at it at the surface level, you're like, why would I make 2.8% when I can make 2.9%? However, like, I think the idea that he had was like, if we scratch the surface, then you'll start to see the depths behind that number. And with Rocket Pool, that number makes more sense. And with Lido and other protocols, potentially that number is a bit more hollow and a little bit scarier, like when you really kind of dive into it. And I think that's what he did really well here. Like, so he put the post in trading, he tagged me and Jasper, like, can you guys put it on your Twitter? Because we are two of the more active, like, Rocket Pool Twitter users, I guess. So, this got, if you click on my original tweet, actually, like, you'll see that it got really, really good engagement. So I think he was really, like, he deserved to be proud about this. Like, I think it got like 150 likes, like, dozens of retweets, lots of comments, like a whole lot of discussion kind of came up about this. Like 5,000 people saw it, which is awesome. So, even if that changes a few minds, or that kind of plants the idea that, hey, there's this protocol out there that's doing really cool things and it's actually better for you than what you're doing right now, that's great. And I think that, in the past, the Rocket Pool community has been very much like all or nothing. So it's like, saying, hey, you have STETH, what are you doing? That's trash. Like, you should be in rETH, or that kind of stance. But I think right now the community's kind of matured a little bit, and we're like a little bit smarter now with how we present ourselves to the wider world. And instead, like, people are kind of saying things like, hey, like, why don't you diversify? Like, go into a basket of LSTs instead of just having one LST. And here's why you should have rETH alongside your other tokens, whatever you choose to have. Like, we won't tell you what tokens to have or how much to have, but here's the reason why you should have some rETH, and then let them kind of make that decision, and maybe they'll make a good decision instead of making a bad decision. So there's some nuance there, I think, like, and we as a community are still trying to figure out some of that messaging and some of that approach, but I think we're growing up, and hopefully it's not too late, and we can pull some TVL back from Lido and Etherfi, and hopefully we can get growing again.
Yeah, and I think this is just not, it can't be just a one-off thing where we have this cute little chart. It's just the message has got to be consistent over and over and over again about how it's reliable, robust, and resilient. It's reliable, and you just got to repeat. So people think that over time. And there, if you think about it, the yield on STETH is slightly higher, and it probably always will be, but it's because there's a slightly more risk too, for these reasons.
Significantly more the risk, potentially, yeah.
Right.
Different kinds of risk. There's some risk with rETH as well. Like, I'm not saying that rETH is perfect or anything like that. rETH does have some risk, and that's legitimate. And, we're working on trying to fix that, and we will hopefully fix it in the next couple of years. But there is risk with Lido that people either don't understand or don't care about, and they really should.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, on to our next items. AlphaGrowth. Hey, if you wonder what AlphaGrowth was doing, I just want to throw this in there because AlphaGrowth was contracted by the GMC with a grant to, hey, go out and market Rocket Pool to the greater crypto community. And so what they did here was publish a chart, spreadsheet of the protocols they're in touch with. They kind of scored each protocol with the ease of service, confidence, and impact on the brand. And I thought this was just helpful because I kind of was wondering myself, they're being paid all this RPL to kind of go out. What exactly are they doing? What's the progress? And this kind of is a nice transparency. So if you look, at the top, we talked about Tron about a month ago. They're doing a growth pitch. They've been in touch with Scroll, Avalanche, Renzo, Mountain Protocol, Morph, L2, Compound, Kraken, ZK Sync, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested, we'll put this in the show notes. But I know we're going to talk about Ink in a second with the Kraken wallet, but the other ones are all still in progress as far as I know. What's your take?
Yeah, so like you said, it's in progress. And like they've kind of told us that, some of these relationships take a while to develop and mature, and to go from, first contact to them minting your token or buying your token, it could take quite a while. So that is kind of disappointing. Like, we want it to happen now. Do you know what I mean? Like we just want those results. And sadly, like, we have to readjust our expectations. Like, we have to think on a slightly longer time scale for that. The GMC actually did just approve a second round of funding, kind of for AlphaGrowth, but not necessarily for AlphaGrowth. So alongside, trying to find people who want to mint rETH, AlphaGrowth are also trying to find like new places that can list rETH, or new relationships that we can find with other protocols. Maybe do like some protocol incentives. And the PDAO hasn't been able to pay for those before through the IMC, who normally manage incentives, because that's outside the charter of the IMC. Like the IMC gets funding to increase liquidity for rETH on the secondary market. So that's the IMC's job. That's that's what they have money for. That's what they spend money on, with a small amount of money that goes towards improving liquidity for RPL, but just a minuscule amount compared to the amount for rETH. Now, unless a protocol is explicitly designed to increase liquidity for rETH, it's outside the charter of the IMC to fund it. So anything to do with looping, anything to do with borrowing, lending, incentivizing, that kind of stuff, the IMC can't do that. So AlphaGrowth applied for a grant saying, hey, sometimes you want to make these relationships. People ask for co-incentives. Like, it'd be a really good benefit if we did this, but we need money to do it. And AlphaGrowth saying that we have to pay for it. So we actually, the GMC approved this grant. The GMC will maintain funding set aside for the specific purpose that AlphaGrowth will come to us. They'll say, hey, we've got this protocol that wants to partner, and we think that we should incentivize this. Like, what do you think? And then there's a small kind of group of people, just the GMC members, a couple of IMC members, who kind of talk it out and be like, hey, what do you think? Is this a good idea? Not a good idea? And if it is a good idea, then we just send the money directly to the protocol to do the partnership. So there's some really interesting developments with that I'm hoping that will start to show fruit very soon. But
yeah. So
the reality,
speaking of fruit, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
go ahead.
The Kraken wallet, it's called Ink for this kind of their L2 is that they're rolling out. It's going to be called Ink. So they've got an integrated wallet, and they're our ETH is listed on here. So I assume we can credit AlphaGrowth with this, or was this in the works?
I'm not sure of the full details, but I think that they have been talking to the Ink team. They're talking to them about having, once the Kraken, it's base, right? It's another L2 general purpose one. So once they actually get it going, they want there to be an rETH presence there. And that's actually a strategy that the IMC has anyway, of making rETH available on L2s, which we do quite well. So yeah, having Rocket Pool's name on these wallets, on these integrations, I think is really important. So even though this is slightly outside the scope of the original grant application that they got money for, it's still a positive development, right? So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and speaking of wallets, so we had, this is nice to see, but then I was reading that and I haven't checked it myself, but I guess on the Coinbase wallet, rETH is no longer listed. So we had we got a win, and then we got kind of a loss. But it seems that is it because Coinbase wallet is going to be shifting everything to CB ETH, their own staking token, CB to BTC. Are they shifting towards their own kind of in-house LSTs and things?
Yeah. So we have some speculation only, because we don't have definitive word on what's actually happening behind the scenes. But the speculation is that they are moving towards their own products. So it was the case that they only had two LSTs in the Coinbase wallet. One was CB ETH from Coinbase itself, and the other was rETH. But with the removal of rETH, there's just speculation that it might be because of either some regulatory worries potentially, but that sentence seems like it's quite easing more than getting more strict. And then other idea is that they just want to try to take as much TVL as they can. And
can you blame
of course
them?
That has its own risks, right? For backlash potentially from the Ethereum community, the wider Ethereum community, if they get too big. But what has happened though, like I said, a lot of this is speculation. So Langer's said that he is reaching out to his contact at Coinbase and trying to figure out what is going on with that. And we currently do not have an update on that development, but hopefully we will get an update soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so here we move on to the incubator results. So we had 28 total, and the committee, which composed of a few really strong technical folks, scored them. And the winners are announced in terms of rewards. So it looks like Dr. Doofus comes in with the highest rating. His average score was a 47. The next was Knoshua. He had a time-delayed rETH burning. He had a score of 36. And then NeverAnIsland had use cases section on the RP site, and that scored a 26. So we like to go over just the top three, WAC, if you don't mind, and kind of so what we could maybe expect, something rolling out of this. Now that these are, because right now these are just concepts that they have to be actually implemented. And so let's take a look at the first one, Dr. Doofus, and he calls it STAR. Could you tell us just what's the TLDR on STAR?
STAR is a way to have people from the Rocket Pool community kind of strategize about reaching out to other protocols, other communities, other teams, other projects, and telling them that, hey, like you should mint rETH. So, DeFi Llama and other sources have lists of projects that have treasuries. Some of them literally have billions of dollars in their treasuries. So the idea is that people from the Rocket Pool community will seek out these people, these organizations, kind of go to their forums, go to their discords, ask questions about who's in charge of the treasury, what your strategy with your treasury is, how you guys manage it, all that kind of good stuff. And then tell them that, hey, what you should be doing is minting rETH. And then there's that whole process that's kind of outlined about how we should do it, and what kind of rewards people will get along the way. And it's actually like a really, really nice plan. Like Dr. Doofus did a phenomenal job here of kind of outlining what it all looks like. And he's happy to change some of the ideas in here and kind of redefine them, redevelop them. But he's very much of the idea that this is a good strategy, and all the reviewers, I think all of them gave it their top spot in terms of the best outcome for minting rETH. And we did a trial version of this over a year ago, and we actually had some real success. EV Mavericks minted a tiny bit of rETH. We had the Nouns DAO mint a tiny bit of rETH, like a few hundred ETH worth. The big result of that was definitely Nexus Mutual. Ishka, I think, went into their community, or might have already been a part of their community, and pitched them that they should diversify their treasury, and they spent 14,000 ETH, basically, I think, buying 13,500 rETH, minting, which was absolutely amazing, really, really huge success. That shut down because the deposit pool got full, and we didn't have node operators, that period after Atlas. So we hit a brick wall. But now, with some changes, Dr. Doofus wants to revive that. The reviewers of the incubator agree that this should be revived, and Dr. Doofus gets $2,000 for his idea, which is absolutely fantastic. I think that this is actually a really realistic way of getting some really good positive results.
Yeah, so if I could sum it up, it is empowering members of the community to use kind of a standard marketing pitch, and then they go out and go into the Discord at some other protocol and say, hey, who do I talk to in Treasury to have you mint some rETH? So it's kind of empowering, and then if you're able to get that, you'll be rewarded with a reward from the GMC. Pretty much sum it up.
Well, yeah, that's one of the things that's different from the previous version, is that we actually will give rewards along the way. And the rewards along the way won't be that much. It'll be a handful of RPL for each step of the way, basically, for initiating contact, for, finding, pitching, that kind of stuff, giving them slowly more and more RPL. The big reward comes with the organization actually going and minting the rETH and then holding it. That's when then the person who facilitated that will actually get a nice amount of money for that. So it's really really rewarding. The scope for getting money is actually really decent. I think Ishka bringing all that rETH in got, I want to say $10,000 or something along that kind of number, which is maybe it's less than that, maybe that's a little bit high, but significant amount of money, in the thousands of dollars. There's a percentage, I think is 0.5% of the amount that you bring in, you'll get that as a commission, and then that's depending on the people holding rETH for a while, etc. But it ends up being a really nice amount. Please check the report, because I'm not sure if that's the exact amount, but maybe I'm misremembering. But it's nice. It ends up being quite nice.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second idea was from Knoshua, and it's allow for timed delayed rETH burning at protocol rate using validator exits. So what's the TLDR on this one? This sounds like a good idea too.
Yeah, so this is where we are right now, right? We have a discount on the peg, and there's two ways of getting that discount back. One is by people going and buying rETH on the secondary market or minting it from the deposit pool and letting it get ARB'd. And the second is someone exiting validators and that getting distributed to the deposit pool and then getting it ARB'd. So we've seen examples of both of these kind of happen over the last couple of weeks. But the thing that worked the best, sadly, was a large node operator leaving, which brought like thousands of RPL into the protocol, but well, out of the protocol, and then that getting ARB'd through the deposit pool brought us back to peg. So that's not ideal, right? Like we don't want that to happen in that way, because the node operator is not getting anything out of it. They're just like throwing their ETH back into the deposit pool, and then that's getting ARB'd. So what Knoshua is suggesting here is that people could kind of mark themselves available to be exited, and then like they could request unstaking, and then that could then be exited. Like they could be exited, and those unstaking requests could be filled, and then the rETH is burned and the ETH can be claimed. So there's some really interesting ideas here. The one criticism that Noshua's idea had, sadly, was that it might be a little bit difficult to implement and get it going. But overall, the idea is that we I think it's a really strong idea. And Jasper also had, I think, something similar to this. The idea was to get people to exit with the ability to get us back to peg, because being at peg is so important. And if people kind of made themselves available to exit, then everybody could kind of win. But yeah, that was number 2.
So would this require a smart contract change?
Yeah, we would need forced exits, basically, so the protocol could exit those people. So we can't do it right now. And there might be some other things that would have to be like, some like frameworks, like scaffolding would have to be built around that for people to indicate they want to exit and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit more complicated as well. I don't know, like Kane, I think, had some feedback about how easy or difficult it would be to implement at the smart contract layer. I think it's possible. It's just a little bit like, there might be other ways like would potentially be easier to help us grow. So yeah.
Are forced exits going to be part of Pectra?
Yes.
Yes,
So
okay.
EIP 7002 will be in Pectra. However, it's not going to be in Saturn 1. It will be in Saturn 2. So even though Saturn 1 will come after Pectra, we're not going to be using forced exits at that time.
Okay. And the third one, NeverAnIsland had an idea here. It's use cases section on the RP site. So we have rpldefi.com, which is kind of a kind of rudimentary. I mean, I'm not taking away from the work that's been done on it, but it's kind of a basic list of different RPL integrations, different rETH integrations using DeFi that you can use, what the rates are, and what NeverAnIsland, I think, here is suggesting is, let's professionalize this a little bit and have it integrated into the Rocket Pool website. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. Also, there's information on the Rocket Pool website kind of already there that's really stale, that we can freshen up and like really help it get better. So there's a couple of those kind of things that come together in this proposal, and I think it's really good because it would be a really nice place to just kind of point the community towards, or people asking questions about like, incentives, rewards, all that kind of stuff, or where they can find the yield. Having it on the Rocket Pool website is like kind of a legitimizing aspect of it. So, that's like people, there'd have to be disclaimers and all that kind of stuff. But the good thing is that, people could go there and like have a source where they know that like if they follow that link, it's not going to take them to a phishing website or any of that kind of stuff. And also the numbers are kind of up to date. So you'll see what kind of rewards you can get. The idea, of course, is that, myself, Jasper, others could then publish that page on Twitter or like talk about it in the Discord and like kind of share that, and it becomes a really nice source of information. And it serves a lot of different functions basically. Yeah. So I think that's why this was one of the top awarded prizes. So that was really good from NeverAnIsland. In terms of implementation, it's not as difficult as well. It's just scraping the data from the websites like could be a bit cumbersome. But the good thing as well is that the RPL DeFi sheet that we talk about on I talk about on Rocket Fuel, we've talked about it in Weekly Orbit as well, that's mostly just looking at the different pools that the IMC incentivizes, there's a whole lot of stuff happening outside of that on like Aave and Notional and like Morpho and like Spark and all these different places that aren't mentioned on there at all, like borrow and lending, DeFi integrations, like, hopefully folding, looping stuff with Euler, like a whole bunch of things that, aren't mentioned on there that could potentially be very valuable for community members. We can put them all on that page. So I think it's a really, really good idea. It's not as difficult to implement. Like, it just requires making a new page and some integrations and stuff of like APIs, but it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I think it's low hanging fruit of all this. Like,
Exactly.
hey, I want to know more about Rocket Pool, and what can I use with this? Oh, just go to the website. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And you could be assured that the links you click on are safe. That, you're getting the most up to date information, and it's a one stop shop. I don't have to. There's 73 different DeFi integrations, and which is the best for me? Well, they're all listed here, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's sum it up with your wins of the week. I have mine. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, go first.
Okay, so my win is to all those who did not panic sell RPL just 32 days ago.
No, even 2 weeks ago.
Well, yeah. Like when I was thinking single digits, when RPL was like $9 and change, and we're at
$8.48.
$8. Thank you. You're the are you the
No,
you're the one who's in
Ramana's
charge of the AT all-time low, right?
No, that's Ramana's in charge of the all-time low,
Ramana?
but yeah.
You do all-time high.
Yeah. I do the all-time high and the new one that I'm going to talk about as my win for the week. So
okay.
we can talk about that next. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, because it's been so hard, and we were talking earlier, there's folks that that you had been told, hey, just buy this ETH, a couple of years back, and just don't look at the price charts. And when you're in it, like we are every day, and you're looking at price charts, and you're in Discord and you're measuring the sentiment, sometimes it can feel kind of dark those days, but you have conviction that you believe in this, and now boom, just like look at what has happened in the last few weeks, a month, everything's 180. It turned into everyone's happy. Look at where we're going. You're checking the price charts all the time. You're feeling that dopamine hit. You're feeling good. But it's only because you had to go through that pain and suffering for such a long time, and now here we are. This is why we're in it, and so that's my win. If you didn't sell at the bottom, congratulations. What's yours?
Yeah. So you were talking about the all-time low. Like, I feel like for the last, whenever Ramana made that bot, well, not Ramana, Vaka made the bot, and Ramana was the keeper of the all-time low price. And I feel like, every few weeks we just get a new low and a new low and a new low. And it was really like dispiriting, like really soul crushing. I think like people even like confided to me like, why do we have this? Like, this is just like horrible. Like, it's so depressing to look at, right?
Yeah.
And like, we shouldn't have this kind of thing. And I was like, okay, look, I think it serves a tool, like it serves a function, and that's totally okay. And I never said, we shouldn't have it. But with this change in sentiment, like I started noticing it like, earlier this week, and I saw that, the prices were kind of off the bottom. Like, the ratio had increased by 25%. The RPL price had gone up 50% from the lows. So I said to Vaka, I think we should make a new bot, because the all-time low bot is actually wrong. Like the all-time low for RPL was like in 2017 or 2018, we had the ICO. That was the all-time low price. Like that was like, this isn't the all-time low. So this bot that Ramana was maintaining was called the all-time low since the all-time high. so I said to Waka, we should make a new bot called all-time high since the all-time low. So it's new bot. It's like it's /ATH SL. So if you go to one of the Discord windows, actually, like you can bring it up, and what this shows is how much the price has moved since the bottom. So what's really funny is like, the day that I had this idea, the price was actually doing quite nicely, and then it just went wild that night. So I was awake all night updating the bot, and it was so much fun. Like that's the most fun I've had in the Rocket Pool community in in a while. I'll be honest. Like I think, a Saturn Zero with the deposit pool getting depleted was really, really cool as well. That was like really fun. I stayed up way too late that night. Other than that, like it's been a really long time since, the positivity was around. And I just really enjoyed like updating that bot. And the price, while I was updating, went from $16 to $19.90, which is the current all-time high since the low. And the ratio was like wild. Like we went up 30% on that day. So it's ATHSL space enter.
ATHSL.
Yeah. Space enter. And then you got to go to the bottom. Oh, there it is. So yeah, all-time high since all-time low. So, the ratio reached 0.005288207, which was a 76% increase from the low, which is fantastic. The high price was $19.90, which is a 130% increase from the low. So I think that having this will actually be like a new way of kind of breeding positivity. Hopefully, like we were talking about earlier, like if we're in the final, final phase of the bull market or second to the final phase of the bull market, then hopefully, I'm seeing that every week, every 2 weeks, every few weeks, there'll be updates made to this. And I think as that's happening, it's going to be just like really nice, like positivity for the community. And some people are going to think it's silly, and it's silly. Like it's not a real thing, right? Like there's no such thing as an all-time high since all-time low, like which wasn't even an all-time low. So it's really silly. I totally acknowledge that. But I think, we need a little bit of positivity and get those wins where we can. But these numbers are real, right? Like so on the other night, like, this was real number. On December the 4th, we hit $19.90 and we were up 76% on the ETH ratio. Like we've still got a long way to go to all-time highs, but we got to celebrate the gains along the way, like we got to celebrate these positive moments. So
for sure.
Great numbers. Yeah. So
so
it's good.
ATH, so all-time high since low. ATHSL since low is if you want to feel good and upbeat, this is a this is a nice tool to use.
Yeah.
130% up on the US dollars. Pretty good. 1990.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that concludes this week's show. It's been a good one. I hope we have more of these coming ahead for the end of the year and hopefully 2025. By the way, I just thought we're going to have a end of year show. We're going to go back and see how our predictions went. So I was thinking today, what did I say for ETH? And I think I remember. I think I said around. I think I want to say 6,600 was my what it would be. On December 31st, 2024.
Yeah.
And then we also talked about RPL. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that episode.
We're gonna have to pull the clips. Yeah, we'll have to pull the clips and show them. But
so that's gonna be fun, and we'll see how close we get or how far away we are. But in any event, thanks for watching, everyone. We appreciate you. We tune in. It's really exciting when we have a great show like today when we're talking about prices. Thanks for sticking with us through all the dark days of low prices, and hopefully we'll have even better days to come. So until next week, enjoy, and we'll see you then. Whack, have a great week too.
Thanks, you too, Pat. Bye.
Okay, bye guys.